What is going on? What is going on? Welcome to the No Life Digital Podcast, where we talk about gaming and tech. This week, not too much news, not too much stuff, so it shouldn't be too long. We're gonna run through it. What's up, homies? What have you guys been up to? Good weekend?
Yeah, it was fine.
Same shit, different day?
Pretty much. It's been carless most of the week because since I'm like moving in a week and a half, I just took that over, left it with them for all week to be like, fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not broke, just fix everything.
Yeah, that's the thing about car. You have to fix. You can't leave one thing broken because it's always gonna lead to another issue.
Yeah. No, it was just like maintenance and like anything that like if anything was under 50%, it was just like fuck it, 'cause I don't want to deal with it for another year or two.
Do you guys know anything about cars at all?
Yeah.
Are you guys car people?
Used to be.
Not that much. Just I owned
I like cars, and I've always been into cars, but I don't know anything about how like if something was wrong with my car, I know like a few things to look out for, and that's about it. I wouldn't be able to go in there and my timings are out of order. You know,
I can't change a tire. I don't know how to drive stick. Say what you will about me as a man. I don't really give a shit. Why pay AAA?
Wait, you can't change a tire?
I could do.
Hell no.
Done all
Why
of
have
that.
AAA?
A tire's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's why I got AAA.
Do you have a donut in your car?
Yeah, I do. I've been there where I've had two flat tires on the front of my car at the same time.
That's when you need AAA.
Yeah, that's when you definitely need
Yeah.
AAA.
You don't need it for one, but
I wound up throwing. I wound up having a donut put on and then like driving home with just one flat tire.
I'm gonna give you homework, Doobie. Go on YouTube, look at how to put a donut on, because you're gonna need it one day.
Easy.
It's so easy. It takes 2 seconds. You just need to know where to put the jack, because your car has a jack. You just have to know where to
And
put
even
it.
that
Really.
it's not that hard. Just put it on the frame and make sure it's actually on the frame.
Right. You don't want to put it on your bumper. But it's super easy.
No,
I don't want you calling AAA when you don't need to. If you can get it done in 2 seconds.
I don't know. I've done pretty much everything short of an engine swap.
Really?
Yeah, it's cheaper, and most of it's not hard.
No. How did you
Just
learn how to do
practicing.
it? Did your dad know how to do that shit or something? Or you just grew up learning it?
That rednecks, YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, I know how to fix up a little two-stroke, attach a little two-stroke to a fucking scooter or something. But when it comes to like some intricate shit, I'm not good with that stuff. I just never really learned it. My dad's not a car guy. My uncle's a mechanic, but my knowledge is limited there.
It's not that difficult. It's more just if you have the tools.
Right.
And if you have the tools and like the patience to actually learn it, because to be honest, because I also always usually have older cars. Dude, there's so much stuff out there on YouTube where it's like, especially like cars. Like, Honda Civic, you can find anything.
Yeah.
You can find anything. But I used to have the reason why my Steam profile picture is still a shitty geo tracker. Yeah, dude, I fixed everything on that. I completely even redid like the wiring harness.
Yeah.
Like, because you had to. That thing was a piece of shit.
Well, that's what my uncle told me, that basically nowadays cars is just you hook up a computer to it and you can figure out what's wrong with your car. Like you don't even need to know what's wrong with it anymore. You just plug it in.
That's the more modern stuff, but you do and you don't if you want to fix it. So like it is a computer chip. It'll tell you exactly what's wrong, but that also doesn't. That's all it tells you. It tells you what's broken. It doesn't tell you how to fix it. You know what I mean?
That's half the battle, knowing what's wrong, really. Because then you could just YouTube it.
Exactly. And a lot of it's usually pretty simple, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just effort.
Have you guys ever gotten into a pretty bad accident, like your own fault?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say bad accident. The worst I've ever done is I popped the curb and wound up puncturing the oil pan. Yeah, in a car that was like over 200,000 miles, and that is like the pan itself wasn't like that bad of a fix. It was the cost of the transmission fluid that you have to put into that 200,000 mile car.
Oh yes.
And it's expensive.
Nope, I had that same issue happen. I popped a curb. and I hit a something underneath the car, just ripped everything, and it was leaking everywhere.
The irony was, it was hard for me to open the hood of the car before that, and after hitting the pole and like popping the curb and hitting like a light pole, but did not like enough to damage my car. I could open the hood after that pretty easily.
Yeah, I've gotten into a couple bad accidents. My first bad accident was like maybe 2 weeks after getting my license at 17. I was racing my friend in my Mitsubishi Eclipse. And
I should have known you had a Mitsubishi.
No, I already knew he had a fucking ESM at one point.
Oh yeah. And
that's so stereotypical.
I was going so fucking fast, and I was
This is what I don't get. Sorry.
Yeah.
You have had a DSM and you don't know how to fix car parts. Like, how often was that in the shop?
Not often. Like I knew how to fix some stuff. Like I knew like the simple stuff, but when it came, like what happened was I got into an accident where I took a turn too hard, and I just popped the curb, hit a sign. The sign ripped under my thing, cut all the fucking transmission, basically destroyed the transmission. And yeah, I remember thinking like, damn it, I don't know how to fix transmission.
It would have been a lot cheaper just to buy another car than replace the whole transmission.
Yeah, at that point it was, yeah, because it was pretty fucked. Well,
I've driven junker after junker. I've had everything from a Honda Civic to an Eagle Talon.
Yeah.
That's the same car.
Yeah, it's the same car.
No, the Eagle Talon was an awful car.
Yeah, and it's the same car as the Mitsubishi Eclipse.
It's essentially a shittier Eclipse.
It was a shittier Eclipse.
No, they're all the same exact car. They all suck.
I paid $600 for it, and you can tell I paid $600.
Well, that was what's cool about those cars. You can pay them pretty cheap and get them to go pretty quick.
Or you pay $600
for 6 months and then need a new car.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you get
That's what I did, man. I was in and out of cars every year for a while. I had a Buick LeSabre where the engine was rebuilt with duct tape.
That's
somehow got 2 years out of that car.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah,
well,
with
that's
the
why
V6.
that's why I ended up buying a Honda Civic. Was like, oh, this car's perfect. It doesn't break.
Yeah.
Had a V6 in that
Before
car.
that, yeah, I was.
Yeah, it was a V6 at a time when gas was like $3.50 a gallon.
Yeah, I just have the Patriot, the Jeep now. And I think I'm going to stick with Jeep. I really like Jeep.
To answer your question, yeah, no, I should be dead.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I know. It's crazy how resilient the body is.
yeah, it's that I got really lucky because in my youth I was an angsty, angry child. Listened to a lot of punk rock, did a lot of drugs, smoked a lot of cigarettes, and I tried to petition Marlboro to sponsor me because at some point
As a racer?
No, because at some point I claimed Marlboro cigarettes saved my life because I was 125 pounds. And if I would have been 5 pounds more, like I would have had an engine block through me. But I was so skinny from not eating because of smoking so much. I was fine.
Yeah, I got into my brother was driving once, and we got into a head-on collision.
Yep.
And I didn't have a seatbelt on, and I just remember hitting that fucking the dash so fucking hard. But yeah, you'd be surprised at how resilient the body. At least how I was at that point. Because I thought I should have been dead. Like we fucking nailed this person head on. Well, it was their fault. They ran a red light. My brother just plowed right into him, T-boned him, and I didn't have a seatbelt on. All I remember was just right into the dash.
And you learned to put a seatbelt on.
Oh yeah. Well, now I drive like a fucking old lady. I don't really.
Same.
I just have no need to go that fast anymore. After you get into a few accidents, it
you just
shakes
stop.
you up.
You're like, oh, dude, yeah, I'll go 5 under. This is fine.
Yeah.
I'm getting better gas mileage. I'm okay.
Plus, I lost my license at one point, and once you lose your license, you're like, you know what? It's way better to just have it and drive safe than to be an idiot.
No, I agree. Because, you know, that I hydroplaned head on into a full-size Ford Ecoline van in, like, a tiny car.
Oof.
And then...
that was probably terrifying. You could probably still feel it, right?
No, I still remember all of it. It wasn't, like, terrifying because also, like I said, I was a shithead at that point in my life. I was just kind of acceptance of the fact. Like, when I, like, realized that was happening, I was like, oh...
Like, I hate hydroplaning. That shit is scary.
Yeah. But
just
no,
losing control of your car in any period is scary. You have no control.
I hate driving in the snow. I hate the snow.
I love driving in the snow.
I like driving in the snow, but not in the city or anywhere where there's other cars.
It's not even the fact that I hate driving in the snow. I hate driving in the snow when other people are driving in the snow.
Exactly.
Yeah, nah. But that was like, you know, you have a 3-foot long car. The front end was about a foot. It was past the wheelbase.
Hey, Liana.
Like how much that engine collapsed.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it just basically sat in your lap?
Yeah. No, it's like the thing I remember is because I woke up, or like I came to, you know, and I kind of just like realized I could feel everything. And then I like looked up and saw
a steaming engine.
Well, no, I didn't see anything, but the lady who I hit / she hit me was like standing probably 10 feet in front of the car, just like looking in like she killed me. And then like I just saw her, I just fucking burst out laughing. I didn't know what else to do. I just sat there like laughing my ass off for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty nerve-wracking. Liana says she hauls ass on her motorcycle. Fuck that. That's one thing I will never drive. I have no interest in motorcycles. Too scary, dude. Not because of the fact that you're driving a motorcycle. It's other people.
It's everyone else.
Everyone's on their fucking phone driving. Everyone does it. Everyone's always on their phone driving.
Every single person I know that has a motorcycle, it's not a matter of if you get into an accident. It's just a matter of when. They've all been in accidents.
Yeah, my best friend, fucked his leg up for like 6 years on a motorcycle. I'm driving around in New York City. Someone just pulls out in front of him. He had to like lay his bike down and just slide and eat the sign that he ran into. And it's just, it's because you can be the best fucking motorcycle driver in the world, but you're no match for some old lady, playing Candy Crush on her phone on the fucking, rush hour.
Your accident can be as something as plain and simple as you just get some road rash to as bad as you just fuck your spine up.
Yeah, and like even like going like 40, you can really fuck yourself up. It's that's the problem. You can even be going slow and get in a pretty bad accident.
It just takes one dumbass to hit you.
It's too scary. Some people live on the wild side. Not me. Not on a motorcycle.
Not anymore. If I was still 20, hell yeah, let's go, brother.
I like dirt bikes. I'll fucking rip on a dirt bike, a little fucking 2-stroke dirt bike.
Just give me an ATV.
Or ATVs. All that stuff is fun. All right. I've been playing Hyperlight Drifter again. I haven't finished it, so I wanted to go back and finish it. Have you guys played it at all? It's an indie game.
A long time ago.
I've never played it, but I've watched like speedruns and people play it.
It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I do recommend it if no one's played it. It's cheap. You can get it on Switch if you have a Switch. It's just like a fun little indie game. The art, the music is amazing. It's cool because it's like all in another language, sort of. Like there's no English in it. So you kind of have to pick up clues on what's going on in this world. And it's just a super fun game. It has RPG elements in it, and highly recommend it. It's good. If you like action indie games. But that's pretty much it. That's all. I haven't gotten anything new. I'm thinking about Super Mario Brother Maker. I just don't know if I'm the type of person that's going to play it a lot. And that's the one. It's $60. It's a pretty hefty buy,
Verse mode is just a lot of fun. Even though there's a lot of jank, some stages are just really bad. Some people just lag really bad.
Oh, yeah.
As long as you can look past those things and not take it seriously, like, oh my god, esports, and you just play it for the jank, it's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
I've enjoyed it.
How many good levels are there? Like, is there hours and hours of good content? Not like their levels, but like custom levels. You
have to sort through the trash. And plenty of people will share their stuff online on Reddit or on Twitter. And there's some really cool levels. There's some really crazy hard levels. Some of the people who speedrun, they make these crazy you have to be frame perfect inputs in order to beat the level. There's some really cool ones. I really like the puzzle levels.
Yeah.
I've done some really cool puzzles. But if you play randomly, you're just going to be sorting through some really dumb ones.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the really dumb ones, and they're some of them are kind of cool. A lot of them are really dumb.
You can tell who understands game design and who just does not understand game design.
Have you seen the one that's just like the spinning bridges and there's like 80 of them and it's just constantly spinning? Like,
have you seen the fire bars?
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing reminded me of like a Super Meat Boy level. It looked ridiculously difficult.
And you have to finish the level to upload it, right?
You have to be able to beat the level to upload it. Unfortunately, there are some people who will like make on they'll try to do it where they do like a dev door or like a hidden block that just allows you to cheese the level.
That's so stupid. They gotta get rid of that.
The thing with Mario Maker 1 was if you saw that, you could download the level and then like study it to see where that was. But in an effort to try to reduce people from downloading levels and re-uploading them by like just making one simple change and then saying it's theirs, they've allow you to download levels, but you can't edit them.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense from a like, I don't want to say copyright sense, but like it sucks if you make a really good level and somebody then copies your level just by downloading it, changing one tile, and then re-uploading it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
And yours didn't.
Yeah, but IP theft, man. And I guess it's not really IP theft, but it's an issue.
It's not IP theft, but it sucks as a player to have your hard work as a creator just stolen.
It sounds a lot like IP theft, but okay.
It's similar, I guess.
Like, is it the same as YouTube?
It's the essence of taking.
I don't think it's IP just because you're not making any money on it.
It's the essence of taking under pressure and going, no, it's totally different.
Dun 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 dun.
Legal
it's
definition,
so bad.
I agree, but like if you like more ethically, I guess I would say it's the same thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, I would agree.
I will say though, like a lot of communities like Mario Maker, some of the people I know I watch on Twitch who like average anywhere between 800 to 1,000 viewers playing Mario Maker, they're getting like 2,000 viewers. They've doubled their viewership just from Mario Maker.
That's cool.
It's a very big content producer. Like YouTube loves it. There is an issue where there's a problem with the reporting system where people can abuse it to kind of target top players or top creators and just pretty much flag their levels to the point where Nintendo just removes them.
Sounds like Nintendo.
Oh yeah, of course, because they're not.
Why would they do that?
Because people are trolls.
They're just trolling.
Yeah, they're just trolling. It's like going on. It's like having a bunch of people like not strike a YouTube video, but like essentially like copyright claim it for no reason to the point where like YouTube doesn't even look into it. They just pull it.
Dude, that happens in every single game and gaming community that has any type of like one-click reporting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to have someone review them.
They're handling it right now. Like there's just been a big stink on Twitter about it. I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's a top player and a top creator, somebody who's done a lot of speedrunning, who has world records.
Is he like an asshole? Is that why they're doing it?
No, I mean the guy's totally fine. Like
people do it just to do it.
People just
do it because they're assholes. He's not an asshole.
Well, even if he was an asshole and they were doing that, you need someone to manually review that shit.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because the guy like understands Mario. Like he's a world record holder in certain Mario games. He's done charity events. He's done the speedrunning stuff. Like guys, it's like
his fucking levels.
And people are just targeting him and trying to get his levels removed.
Well, that's a good way to get Nintendo's attention so they fix the problems.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
And we're still waiting for the ability to play with your friends online.
True. That was a big thing in WoW when they first added one-click reporting because all you needed to do was have like at least 5 people. So like that was at the start of PvP things. No, people would just like all report someone on the other team and they would just get like logged off and kicked. And then it was
like an algorithm that would kick them? Yeah.
Like if they got enough reports, so they would all just mass report this one person at a time.
It's like the gaming version of DDoSing.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially.
You're just DOSing someone.
Man, you would think that they would review them. That sounds so dumb. Of course people are going to abuse it.
Yeah. But do they?
I mean, some levels do need to be removed if they have like.
Yeah, that's why you have to have a review team.
Yeah, I mean, some levels
cost money.
Be removed if there's offensive content that they somehow made in them. You know, spelling certain words out with letters. I mean,
I guess if I was Nintendo, I'd be like, you know what? I'm not spending any extra money on this. Fuck you guys. You want to start
games rated E for everyone. You don't want a level going up that's just giant blocks of letters that spell out some racial slurs.
Yeah. Nah, they need to be. I mean, I'm sure there's an algorithm that can figure that out too.
I assume there's something, but unfortunately, like anything with Nintendo, you don't fucking know.
Well, at least they are more. I would rather be more aggressive moderating than otherwise. Than it be too lax.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Maker's doing very well for them. It is one of those things that they've kind of. It's interesting how like they're able to take the IP and create this product around it that I think is now in the UK like it's the #1 selling game 3 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, it's a genius idea. They've always had that, like they had like Mario Paint and shit like that. I mean, it's always been a thing in Mario.
It's Mario Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they've always had a way to like take the IP and turn it into different genres and still have success with it. Like the RPGs, the Paper Mario games. Like it's still Mario, it's still the IP, but it's a totally different genre than your platforming.
Mario Party.
Oh yeah,
all those. And
all the sports games.
Done it too. Nintendo knows that recipe because Nintendo is the only company that's like
they invented that recipe.
Right, they invented that recipe, but like they have that IP. Like what other company can you
saw Halo do an RTS and it didn't do well.
Right, and I don't want to play a first-person shooter based game of anything else. I want to play.
Where's your Master Chief cart?
Yeah.
Would you play a first-person Mario game?
I mean, Sony did it a little bit, like Crash Team Racing.
Consider that, yeah.
Everyone's tried it. Everyone's tried the Nintendo formula.
Crash Team Racing was a great game on PlayStation 1. I actually preferred it over things like Diddy Kong Racing.
But I would still argue I don't think they have the IP clout that Nintendo does.
Oh God, no.
And that's why they can do that.
The ones you have like who have been able to do it decently well, I think Capcom and Mega Man has been able to do it decently well in certain things. Like the Battle Network games were really good. And they were a different genre than your basic platformer. But nobody's done it like Nintendo has been able to do it.
Like, are you gonna go play Witcher Party?
Yes. Yes.
Geralt Kart.
Fucking absolutely.
Geralt Kart.
They just have to make it. All right. How about the Nintendo Switch Lite, man? You called it, Doobie. You were right.
I knew it.
They were gonna make they made the cheaper, smaller, lighter, more colorful version of the original handheld system.
$200. You take away the components from the inside that allow it to dock. You take away the Joy-Cons. You take out the Bluetooth of the Joy-Cons, the HD rumble out of them. You save your money that way. I was saying that months ago.
Everyone rages.
Everyone rages because it's not. If you own a Switch right now, this is not it's not an upgrade for you. It's not designed for you. This is designed to try to maximize before Pokemon comes out, to try to maximize their sales and to definitely get anybody who has not moved to Switch from 3DS yet to go, hey, if you want to upgrade from your 3DS and you don't want to drop the $300, here's a $200 product that's cheaper. And it's definitely probably better for families with young kids that like you don't want to shell in a $300 system.
I agree.
That has removable parts.
This is the one thing where that's the most confusing to me because I agree with that and all like.
I don't think it's cheap
that
enough.
all makes sense.
I think
cheap enough.
I think 200 is like the highest they could sell this for.
Yeah.
But the Labo.
Well, it still has.
You can't use it. You can't play Labo.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you can't do Labo on it.
So why would I buy the controller and I can't do a Labo?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it still has Bluetooth in it, so you can still like if you theoretically, you could still play.
You can still buy regular Joy-Cons and play with.
Yeah, you can still put Joy-Cons on there. You can still play with a Pro Controller on.
But you can't connect it to a TV.
And there's no kickstand either, so you have to prop it against something.
It's not meant for that. It's not meant for that stuff. It's a weird thing. They should have at least, because they didn't take out the function for it to connect to a dock. They just didn't add it in. They just said nope, you're not allowed to dock
we don't know officially what's out and in yet, and you will see. I know at least 2 different YouTubers that will be tearing the system apart when it comes out. They'll be unscrewing everything and looking at the internals.
I mean, an upscaler is like a way to just kick out to a signal to a TV. It's not a big component. It's a very small, very cheap component. And I'm sure that the USB-C connectivity that it has is just already there.
I feel like if Nintendo wanted to go the route
the USB-C a lot cheaper.
And we've seen the dockless dock before, where it's like a dongle that you plug in, and it's a third party, and that's been, some Switches have been bricked because of it. If Nintendo were to officially do something with that idea of a dock that you could easily transport, that would be a huge seller, because then it's going, hey, this handheld thing you have, if you really want to plug your TV, here's a simple dongle for it.
You can't. It's got to be programmed in the Switch to say, okay, when you connect this cable, it's going to spit out this image. That's essentially, even if it was like a dual image. And I guess they just said, we're not going to program that in there. I don't think it's an actual component. I think it's at just like the base level of the system. They just didn't program it in there. So you have to upgrade. Now, I think, like you said, $200 is the most maximum. I think it's too expensive, because you can get a used Switch for what? $230?
See, then that's the thing, is the 2DS, which is this like the Nintendo model.
This is the 2DS, yeah. Like
it's the Switch's 2DS. Yeah. This is the Nintendo model of, hey, we're going to take out everything that essentially made the original design what it is, and we're going to drop the price and make it cheaper and affordable to enter. And then even then, the 2DS came out at $80 when it first dropped.
As opposed to what?
I think
what was the original price of the other one?
The 3DS when it first came out was way overpriced, to the point where they actually did an ambassadors program for early adopters. And then eventually, when they brought the price down to like $150, around that area for the 3DS,
I'm saying
they sold a lot better.
Right, when the 2DS came out, the 3DS was $150.
I feel like
half the price.
I feel like the Switch Lite will be the first thing between the Switch and Switch Lite. If they're going to get a price drop at any point, the Switch Lite will definitely be the one that gets the price cut. And I think $150 is a better entry point for it.
Yeah,
I would say $175,
especially since games are not $40; they're $60.
And I agree with that. I'm the first person to bitch about the games. To me, $200 for this isn't that bad, because
a 2DS.
I don't fucking plug my Switch into my TV.
A 2DS was, and that's the thing, and we're going to do this real quick. So a 2DS was $80 with a pack-in title. Yeah. A Switch Lite is going to be $200 before a game, which is adding another $60 onto it.
And then the Switch is $330 with the same thing. I don't know.
But
like,
you can get
I don't get how you guys have been.
This is pack-ins on the Switch.
I'm sorry.
But I do know a lot of people. I do know a lot of people who are like you. They barely ever plug their Switch into the TV. They only play it in handhelds.
I guess I'm just confused how $330 has always been like, you have to go buy this. It doesn't come with a game or anything. But now $200 is, no, that's way too fucking much, guys. Okay.
I don't think it's way too much. I don't
think it's way too much either. I think it's not worth it at that price. I think $150, then I'm like, okay, it's half the price. This is like, you're just scraping by.
Half the price for where it would be like $275, because the Switch is $330. The Switch is not $300.
Well, you gotta remember tax, yeah.
No, before tax, it's $330. If you go to Amazon right now, it's like $300. It's like $325, $330.
I mean, if you keep your eye on sites right now, I can get you links to where it's $250 because of deals.
Right, but I'm talking MSRP. If you go to Amazon, buy it from Nintendo, it's $330.
Yeah, but you can also plug it into your TV. You're just missing out like that. You're missing out on that Switch. I mean, that's what the name is. You know what I mean?
You're missing out on the TV. I think
if it was the same thing and you could plug it into your TV, That's a deal. $200. That's awesome. You just can't.
Yeah, but then why would they have the Switch then? It would be the same exact fucking console.
Well, because this one's just all together in one
why
device.
Why is it $330 on Amazon when you can get a Nintendo Switch with a pack-in Starlink for $300 on GameStop?
Sometimes Amazon has different resellers, so they, depending on their stock, they market.
Maybe you shouldn't buy your systems on Amazon, especially right now.
Prime Day.
Yeah, while their workers are striking.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
Well, I think 200. I think $200. It's like you're just scraping there. You're just scraping it. Probably in a year they'll probably start having deals. Because like you said, you had a game on there. It's $260. You're losing a lot of functionality that I think is what really makes the Switch the Switch. You're really just kind of getting the bare bones, sort of experience, which is cool.
And it has improved charge. It's going to have an improved charging rate on it because it's a smaller battery that charges faster. I don't know how much improved it's going to be. And since they've removed a bunch of stuff, you can't actually change the brightness settings on it. You're still pretty much you're gonna get just maybe a little bit better battery life than the Switch.
I'm curious to see how the screen difference is, the size in the screen. I wanna get one in my hands because like in the images it looks pretty small. You're getting about what, a little bit bigger than a phone size.
It's 5.5 instead of 6.2.
Yeah, how big is the iPhone XS screen? Is it 5.7?
5.9. Pretty sure. Might be 5.7. That was 5.9.
5.8.
Yeah, cut the middle.
That's a pretty small screen. That's a pretty tiny screen.
But well, it isn't Apple. It's not the fucking 20 by 9 or whatever weird form factor.
And because there's no removable Joy-Cons,
so it is bigger then.
Yeah, and because there's no removable Joy-Cons, you lose the option of taking it when you take it on the go, of sharing it with a friend.
Yeah, I don't really care about any of that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but I'm just saying, as functionality goes, it is a function that is not available.
Yeah,
but it is. Just buy
if somebody has their own Joy-Cons with them, or if you buy it. But the thing is, the Joy-Cons are $70 a pair.
Yeah, but you can't plug it into a TV.
But like, if you wanted an actual other set of Joy-Cons, you gotta buy it for the Switch anyway.
Yeah, you can't.
Saying like, oh no, that's like so expensive for the Switch Lite. It's the same price for the Switch. Yes, it sucks.
Well, you can't plug it into your TV. That's the biggest con I think that this device has.
I think that's
because then you can't play it with anyone else. You're not gonna play two people on this tiny ass 5-inch screen.
No, you're not.
So you just lose that functionality altogether.
And you're not even if you wanted to like play online, you are strictly limited to only Wi-Fi because you can't dock it to put an Ethernet adapter.
Oh right, and I didn't even think of that, Doobie.
You know how many people are gonna hop in on Smash or like hop in on Mario Maker?
No, I didn't even think of that.
On their shitty Wi-Fi connection Switch.
God damn it! You're right.
Fair. How many Pokemon players are you gonna play Dynamaxing with in your battle raids?
No, the online connectivity is such garbage already.
I guess that's what's coloring my view. Is like, seriously, just launch like a version for $240 with Pokemon included. I would buy this in a heartbeat if I didn't have a Switch.
You would buy it over the original Switch?
Well, there is a Pokemon. Yeah. There is a deluxe version. I don't know if it comes with Pokemon though, but there is a special version of it that's like Pokemon themed.
Yeah. Like, no, I mean, like, if it came with it as a bundle, you know what I mean? I think that would be a better price place. I think this, like,
well, I definitely think they're going to do that.
I think you could do this for like for 175. I think 150. No.
Yeah, that's wishful thinking. 175 or 169.99 is a good price.
Like 175, I think would have been perfect. But like 150, that's like, really?
Or 200 with the game. If they give it to you 200 with the game.
I'm looking at it. They're not packing it in.
My other like biggest argument to me is like, for me at least, I don't play it on I rarely ever play it on the TV. I hate the Joy-Cons for the most part, to be honest, because they're too small. Like a lot of the things for me, it's like, I could go the opposite and say if this thing was 175, I don't feel like I'm getting 175 back out of the normal Switch versus that.
I will say that this is their successor, their true successor to the 3DS.
Yeah.
And just like the 3DS, it's coming in a little overpriced.
Yeah.
Like when the 3DS dropped, it was overpriced, especially when it didn't have the software.
Yeah. And like them leaving out the kickstand, you have to like have your own kickstand with it if you want to play with another controller.
And I imagine there's going to be a ton of third-party accessories that will be available for it as far as
that you have to pay for. You have to pay for them.
Yeah, no, but I know Horde will probably make
TV, why would you want to play with another controller? Why does the kickstand matter then?
Because sometimes you don't want to play with the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons you just don't always want to play with them. You know.
I know they suck, but like,
if
you want to play Smash and you want to get a little serious, you can grab your controller and then you throw the kickstand out.
To, have it right in front of you. Like it's like, here we go. My phone's bigger than the screen, so this is right in front of me.
Yeah, but how many?
I've done that many times. You'd be surprised.
I'm just saying, watch until they create Switch pop-ups or whatever they call those things. You know, the things that go on the back of the phones.
Yeah, why couldn't you just stick a pop socket on it?
You probably can.
Yeah.
You probably can.
You probably need a couple.
Pop socket on it.
You probably need like two.
Of them, but still.
Yeah, you can throw a pop socket on there. I mean, that's that's something. I don't know why they would just leave the kickstand out. You know.
Well, because the kickstand, let's be honest, the kickstand on the original Switch is
fucking garbage.
A piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It's a kickstand and it's functional.
The only thing I question though,
functional.
So behind the kickstand is
sometimes.
Behind the kickstand is where the SD card goes.
So you're wondering where they put the.
So the kickstand is at least covering that and giving us some protection. If there is no kickstand on this, is it just an exposed SD card slot?
It looks like it's on the top. Nah, it's like a little latch.
I would not like an exposed SD card port. That would be really bad.
I like the color. I mean, I want to get one in my hands because I'm not completely against it. I do think a tiny little handheld Switch is awesome. I just don't know if it's. I don't know if it's worth it over just the original Switch. That's my big thing.
For most of the games I play on the Switch, it's totally worth it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some people, it'll definitely be worth it.
Yeah, and like I said, I think this will be a really popular.
I wish you could connect to the fucking TV. I would get one if it connected to the
TV. Especially if you've got like I don't know, if you've got like little kids that argue over the game console, you can be like, all right, well, here's your personal Switch for one kid, and the other kid gets the other. The older kid gets the one that can dock. So the younger kid gets the handheld one that's cheaper. I don't know.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. Middle income families with disposable income.
I don't like the colors. I like the gray one a little bit. I'm not.
I think the colors were.
I like the blue. I like the blue.
Cool. They're almost there. That's my problem with it. Where it's like I can see what you're going for, and I like where you're going, but you.
Since this is the replacement,
they should have made it the red of the red Joy-Con, the blue of the blue Joy-Con. Those are way better.
Like I said, though, you'll see because they've already done it with the new Pokemon one. This will be where all your special edition consoles come.
No,
which is what I'm like. I kind of wanted that for the Switch. I wanted like some cool special edition shit.
It's got a D-pad, which is nice.
It does have a D-pad.
They have a bunch of special editions for the Switch. What are you talking about?
They're mostly docks that are the special.
Yeah, okay.
The docks usually the thing that have the designs on them.
But like, okay, for me, I like the yellow. The gray's fine.
I like the blue. That's personal choice.
I think the blue's just like they should have just bumped up the saturation. I think they were very close with the blue, and if it was a bit deeper blue, I would like it.
What they should have done was made it translucent.
Like so
that
purple
old
one?
School, so like that old school Game Boy aesthetic of like the translucent Game Boy Advances.
Yeah.
Like go that route. Make a really
like white gray, like the old Game Boy color.
Yeah, like I mean, the closest thing you have to that is the Pokemon one, where it's like that gray, with like that light gray, like almost a Game Boy gray, with the blue left and the red right side of the Joy-Cons.
Well, they have the gray, the Pokemon version one that's coming out.
That's what I'm saying. That's like the closest color you're gonna get to like that classic.
And that one does look
style.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe do one like that, where it's like almost like a Super Nintendo, where it's got the colored buttons like a Super Nintendo controller had.
I also want to.
The gray.
I also want to try it too, just because, like I said, I usually play it handheld. Dude, the Joy-Cons are trash. They feel like trash, but I'm really curious to see how it feels as one solid piece.
Another issue.
And the handheld version of the Switch is like dude, your Joy-Con's always fucking moving. It does not feel like it's a solid
That's the thing. Is the Joy-Cons is the drift on the analog sticks. If that how much of a problem would that drift be? I mean, again, we don't know what the construction of these Joy-Cons.
How much tighter is it too? Because it's a smaller device altogether. They're not Joy-Con sized. It's a smaller Joy-Con. So I am curious to see is it?
And a lot of the problems with Joy-Cons came because of the Bluetooth. There were some problems with where they had put the Bluetooth interface in the actual Joy-Con on the left side, especially on the left one. This one doesn't have the Bluetooth connectors in it, so I'm wondering what the internals are going to look like. I'm very interested in seeing what this thing looks like on the inside.
Yeah, and Switch MSRP is $300, so don't buy it on Amazon. You're gonna get ripped off.
Buy it on Amazon.
Overall, it is interesting. It'll probably sell pretty well. Anything cheaper is always gonna sell well.
And it's running. I mean, and you knew Nintendo was going to do this because they've been quietly kind of doing this with their consoles, where they know about the exploit with the Tegra. They've been trying to stop people from doing it, but there's no way you can get rid of a hardware exploit without updating the hardware.
Right. What's the exploit?
The Tegra has a exploit on it where you can
flash hardware. It, right?
You can do a bunch of stuff with homebrew and piracy on it. And there's been some really manipulative software out there that's pretty bad.
But what, a 0.01% of their user base will go through that,
I mean, it was at least the first million they sold had it.
Yeah, but how many of those million went through that process of, homebrewing the system?
I don't know.
I'm sure it's a very low number.
I have the day one, so I know mine. If I wanted to homebrew it, I could definitely do it.
I know we're also getting an updated regular Switch,
which is definitely they're definitely doing that to definitely curb that.
Is that all that you think the processor update is?
It's not gonna. It's nowhere. It's not a pro. It's not a pro Switch. It's just an update to the hardware design, to probably a little bit of the internals. It's not enough where they're gonna sit here and go, it's a new console. It's not.
Yeah.
What'd you say about battery?
I thought they were upping the battery a bit too.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I'd imagine that.
That is the rumor I have heard, at least, is they're upgrading the battery a bit.
Yeah, and then I think it's a different version of the Tegra or wherever. It's not an X2, but it's a different.
It's probably just to patch that exploit.
Oh, it's definitely gonna patch exploit, and I think you'll see on eBay and stuff those first models of the Switch.
Oh yeah,
you'll start seeing people sell them to people who want to homebrew, and they'll be raising the price on them.
Mine got stolen, unfortunately.
It's also a Tegra, so it'll be ooh, it's 5 megahertz, higher clocks,
Yeah.
All right.
More powerful.
Hey, depending on what the prices look like, if they release a nice new Pro Switch, I might sell my old Switch on eBay to somebody who wants it to homebrew.
There you go. Yeah, I would love a Pro Switch. One that had that's pretty much like the Lite, where it's all one unibody system.
Yeah.
But just bigger.
I play mine primarily on TV. I would say an 80-20 split. 80% of my time I'm on my TV.
I was 100% handheld for a while, but only I would say the last couple months I've been plugging it into this monitor here, because I have the dock next to it and playing Smash on it with the controller.
We'll see after next Friday what happens when Fire Emblem comes out.
Yeah. I mean, in most games I like to play handheld, but when I play Smash, dude, I gotta be
I have
ready
to
to
have
go.
I have to have my GameCube controller.
It's gotta be docked, man. It's gotta have the Ethernet, because the internet is so fucking trash.
Yeah, for Smash, I can agree with that, but everything else, I'm it's Nintendo. I'm playing it handheld. I want to play Game Boy. I don't want to play Mario World on a 55-inch television.
What they should do is fucking take all the money that they're gonna make from the Switch Lite and then increase the online. Hopefully they're listening in. All right, Luigi Mansion 3 date leaked by Amazon Mexico, listed for 4th of October. So you can go pick it up there.
This is what I was kind of saying. I feel like this is just based on the aesthetics, it's an October release.
Spooky, dude. It's got to be ready for Halloween.
Yeah, I mean it's in between September, which is Link's Awakening DX, or the Link's Awakening Switch version, and November, which is Pokemon.
Link's Awakening version 13.
Yeah, pretty much. But definitely feels like at least somewhere in the middle of October. If it's the 4th of October, I'm fine with that. But I feel like middle of October would be the best point. Is just right in between those releases. Which gives you that one big game a month kind of thing going on with September, October, November.
Going back to the Switch update, there's an article on The Verge. They have the FCC filings here. To whom it may concern.
Hey, look, Doobie posted the link to something that wasn't my Nintendo news.
To whom it may concern, this is a request to Class 2 permissive change for FCC ID, and then the ID number originally granted on December 25th, 2016, and all its permissive changes. We changed the following points from the original model. Change of SoC type, change of NAND memory type, CPU board is changed due to the above two components. So I don't see nothing here with the battery, but it seems like a little change to the processor and memory, which is interesting. They could they could still be changing the battery. I don't think that needs an FCC update.
Even if they don't change the battery, the new chip could be more efficient, leading to a longer life of battery.
Yeah, should be.
It has to be because the Switch Lite and the new Switch use DDR4 instead of DDR3 now.
Yeah,
and it has room for 4 gigs and 8 gigs instead of just 4 and 6. And then the CPU side of the processor is not getting boosted, but the GPU is apparently getting a slight boost in clock speed.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not enough to label it a Pro, like a fully upgraded new version of the Switch.
But the real kicker, you can apparently use larger than 32 gigabyte memory cards at some point.
Oh, that is good news. You can get your 2 terabyte mini SDs in there
for the cartridge. Because you can already use larger than 32.
I would guess for the cartridge, yes. It just says
it's
larger than 32 gigabyte memory is possible in the new units. 2 models have been found in the firmware code names Iowa and Calico. And it's speculated that one will have more internal storage. Which,
talking about The Witcher, as much as I don't think The Witcher's going to look good at all, I do give props to CD Projekt Red for investing in 32 size gigabyte cartridges because they're not cheap.
No, I think it's that, but I think it's also it's talking about internal memory,
which would make sense because the internal memory size is trash, just like any other Wii. Like the Wii U was trash on its internal storage.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as SD cards go, I believe the Switch, if it's not 2 terabytes, it's definitely at least 1 terabyte SD cards. It can go up to. I don't know if it supports 2 terabyte, but it's not like you're seeing a lot of 2 terabyte internal SD cards.
I don't even know if that's a thing.
It's a thing, but they're expensive as all hell.
No, apparently the original Switch is capable of using SD cards up to 2 terabytes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You're not going to see 2 terabytes people buying because they're just
how much is that?
Then also, no, 2 terabyte SD cards do not exist yet in production.
See, they already have the support for something that doesn't exist.
At least they did it on June 24th, 2019.
2 terabyte SD card. Let's see.
Yeah, I didn't think they existed. It's mini SD. It's not a regular SD card. Yeah. It's a mini SD.
You can get a 1 terabyte SanDisk Extreme on Amazon Prime for $340.
You can get a 1, but
that's actually fucking insane that they can fit 1 terabyte of storage on that little fucker.
You can get
and they're slow as shit.
That's not right. That is a fake.
I just buy 128s and get it over with.
I bought I had a 128 come free with my phone. That's right.
Yeah, so I have a stockpile of Lexar 128s in Samsung.
And you can switch them out. It's so easily. So it's not it's that big of a deal.
But
honestly, 128 gigs, depending on what you're using it for, depending on what you buy, Nintendo games are the one thing Nintendo does super well that you cannot argue with me on is that they know how to optimize their what the fuck's it called when you compress their compression. They're very good at compression.
Yeah, no, they're good at optimization in general. Yeah.
Yeah, they know how to get a big game into a small file size.
And have it run well because they don't use like class 3 cards or
Yeah.
they don't use fast cards.
God, I wish they were as good as everything else as they're good at that.
Like online.
Man, you see these 60 gigabyte games come out and it's just insane. And then you look at like Nintendo and you're like, how did they get this game in like 5 gigs? How did they make this 5 gigs? This game is too big to be 5 gigs and they did it somehow.
Mortal Kombat film will be R-rated with fatalities. That's pretty cool. Sub-Zero is being cast. What is this? Mortal Kombat seems to be moving full steam ahead with getting a 2021 release date and Sub-Zero being cast. Who's playing Sub-Zero? Do we know?
I didn't recognize the actor's name.
Oh, he's from the Raid? Is that who it is?
I think that's right.
But like, is it gonna be as good as the cult classic?
That's the thing,
Probably not.
It depends on where they take it. They're saying they're making it R-rated, and they're gonna have fatalities. And I mean, Mortal Kombat 11's fatalities.
It's gonna be
so
absolutely
brutal,
terrible.
like, oh.
This movie's gonna be trash. I guarantee you. Because the reason why the first one was so good is because it was the 90s.
And it's campy.
And it's campy.
Funny.
It's like stupid as shit.
Yeah, it's so bad it's good.
Actually good, exactly. Yes,
It's so bad. It's so bad it's good, and they brought back the guy who played Shang Tsung to be Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat 11.
And will he also die?
I hope so.
Will his soul be yours?
Yeah, I don't expect it. This is gonna be like, one of the.
Do you remember the Mike? Was it Michael Jai White? I think it was, where they were doing like the gritty reboot on YouTube of like Mortal Kombat, and it was like this kind of like realistic gritty look at Mortal Kombat, and it was actually really cool where they were doing it. And then the plans fell through, and it became like a web series, and it became shit.
Yeah, I expect this to go the same exact way.
If they try to make it
not fun and
too
campy,
realistic and not embrace the campy, not embrace the over the top.
No, it's just it's riding off the coattails of the superhero genre. It's gonna be dumb.
They're gonna give us a white Liu Kang.
And the first one was just it was part of the zeitgeist at the time. You know what I mean? Like it was just part of the culture. Mortal Kombat. Now it's like Mortal Kombat is just like an esports game. No one knows Mortal Kombat now.
The Mortal Kombat theme song alone from the 90s is like totally iconic of the zeitgeist of the 90s.
Yes,
Mortal
exactly.
Kombat lost to EA. Let's be honest.
What was it? The Immortals. That was it, right? The Immortals that did that song.
I have no idea the name. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was.
It was the Immortals. I mean, you had what's his name play Raiden? Christopher Lambert.
Yeah. Yeah, and who was Sonya Blade, the girl from from Billy Madison?
Yeah. I mean, the movie is really campy. It's really bad. It's a good time.
Bridget Wilson.
Really bad.
And they nailed the characters for like the over the top campy style of the time.
Yeah.
That's why
and that was also a time where like kung fu movies were in still. You know, when you had like Jackie Chan movies were still doing big. Jet Li was starting to come up, and it was just Matrix part of that era.
Got a little bit right after that.
Yeah, the Matrix
also
changed around.
Looking up YouTube clips, I love the top comment is like, I saw this in a theater. I paid money and saw this in a theater.
So did I,
dude. I wish I could have.
It's fucking amazing. Actually, I think I had it on VHS. I think everyone had it on VHS.
Man, the really bad CGI of like Reptile.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but the whole like Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight was fucking awesome, man. You remember that?
Of course. The Scorpion versus Johnny Cage fight's great.
Where he did the come here and they
start
snapping
in the
at him.
They start in the forest and then move into hell.
Yeah. That fucking fight scene is iconic. And you can't do that now because it's just going to look too real and it's not going to be cool. It's just going to be like,
hyper violent.
Yeah. Well, I don't have big expectations for it, but I'll probably check it out. If it's on Netflix, I'll check it out.
The world was made in 6 days. and in 6 days it shall too end.
Okay, Annihilation was a bad movie, and it was not.
No, Annihilation was the best.
There's nothing redeeming about Annihilation.
No, Annihilation was the
It killed old Johnny Cage in the first 3 minutes.
Exactly, it was the best.
They changed actresses. They changed actors for a ton of people.
No, the whole movie is like it's like The Room. It's in the list of it's so fucking bad. It's funny.
Just the last fight alone with the really bad CGI dragon things. Oh, that movie's so bad. Cyrax might be like the only cool thing from that movie.
All right. Detective Pikachu is now the all-time highest grossing video game movie.
Until Mortal Kombat. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, until Mortal Kombat.
Dude, I just want Annihilation 2 is all I'm saying.
See, that would be interesting in Annihilation 2.
See, this is a cool thing. Then you realize that it only beat out the movie before it by $4 million, and that movie was the Warcraft movie.
Yeah, and it was bad.
Yeah, and Detective Pikachu was a good movie. Like, wasn't not? I'd say good movie. It was. I mean, it was a good movie.
Warcraft
It wasn't a great movie. It was a good movie.
Warcraft, as a Warcraft fan, I actually enjoyed it, but I admit it's a bad movie because, long story short, the person they finally got directing it was a big Warcraft fan, so he made it for Warcraft fans. If you don't know Warcraft, this movie makes no fucking sense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Do not attempt to explain the story in any way or anything. It's just fan service.
I did not see
no
it. It
fucking
never
sense.
interested me whatsoever.
And that movie will not get you into it because, like I said, if you don't know the story, it makes no sense.
I don't know why they never made a Halo movie. I feel like that was.
They did. Someone
right.
did. It was really bad and shitty. It was like a small studio.
See, I feel like I always saw some web stuff. Like there was the Pillar of Autumn.
We don't need video game movies. We don't need them anymore. Video games are already better than movies.
We're getting the Mario. We're getting the Mario, another Mario movie, but it's being done by Illumination Studios, who did what they do? They did Despicable Me.
Oh, so it's an animated movie?
Yeah,
it's not like the old '90s Super Mario Brothers.
It's an animated Mario movie, and I don't know how that's going to work.
It's gonna be dumb as shit. Video game movies suck.
Mario doesn't really talk. If he talks, are they just gonna have Charles Minuet just voice the whole movie, or is it just gonna be a movie of woohoo?
No, it's gonna be some stupid fucking Italian guy.
You can get Yeah,
It's not gonna be good.
I don't. And Illumination Studios, they have some okay movies. Despicable Me is probably good, but they have a bunch of stinkers.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't need video game movies don't need to exist anymore. It was a medium because video games its technology wasn't where movies are at. Now video games have surpassed that technology by miles, in my opinion.
It's that. Well, it's partially that, but it's also because no one knows how to write the story.
Yeah.
No one knows how to translate that story, because I would say there's some games that no, that could be a compelling story. I think you can make that into a workable project, but everyone flops because they either try to make it too campy, too focused on the video game, or they go the opposite and it's too basic and welcome to the world and stuff like that. No one's figured out a formula to translate those two mediums.
So what you're saying is,
and Detective Pikachu is not a video game movie. It's a movie based on a video game character.
Exactly. That I think we
can.
Well,
it is based on the first game.
Dude,
they did pull a lot of the. I want to say how comic book movies pulled a lot of stories from a certain arc.
Right, but
Pikachu did a lot of that with the actual Detective Pikachu game.
Yeah,
there was a lot of differences, of course, but the main plot line was the guy's missing dad was exactly like how it was from the game, except the end twist wasn't. That's where they changed it.
But I do argue, I think you could do more things like that,
like a Geralt series on Netflix. Yeah. I'm interested in.
Right, yeah. like stuff that either I think Witcher's cheating because there's a lot of actual book.
There's a lot of source material.
It's a series. It's a book series. Yeah, but I don't know if you made a movie that's from the start, it's a movie, and it's based in a game world. I think that could work. But if what everyone's trying to do is they're trying to be like,
you like this movie, you like this game, so we're gonna make a movie for you.
Right. It's like, no, it's not. And I give they attempted, but they failed. But like, what I'm worried about with Mortal Kombat, for example, is like, no, it's not going to be a Mortal Kombat movie set in that world. It's going to be, here's like the really weird plot from Mortal Kombat 11, the movie.
Yeah.
You just search any game these days, the movie, and it's just the cutscenes with none of the gameplay.
Yeah.
You do that from what was it? The Metal Gear? No, yeah, Metal Gear Solid 4, and you're in for a 30-hour treat.
That, I think I could argue.
To be fair though, Kojima has always been like, he's always been professed that he wants his games to essentially be movies.
That's what they are. That's what I'm saying. We don't really need that any. I mean, like Jerry's saying, like if it's a sort of like a spin-off set in the world of the game, that's a different story. But I mean, you play any modern AAA blockbuster game, and you're playing a movie essentially, a much better, more interactive movie. You don't need to fucking hire Henry Cavill to play fucking Geralt. You have Geralt.
That Assassin's Creed movie with
I don't need. No.
Oh, what a shit show that was.
Almost 99% of video game movies are fucking.
So what you're saying is instead of going to movies, we should just all play visual novels and watch anime
ones. I mean, I would like to see a Yakuza movie.
I would totally see a Yakuza movie. They actually did make a Phoenix Wright live action film in Japan that was based off of the first like Phoenix Wright game.
Oh, really?
Which was I would actually see that. Like if they brought it over here with like subtitles, I would see it.
See, but we don't get movies based on those kind of games. We get movies based on fucking Pikachu, Mortal Kombat,
and that's the funny thing is
Tomb Raider,
Pikachu, like as a puzzle game, but it's like those puzzle games that like it has a lot of visual novel to it, and that translates better to film than something like, hey, let's make a Doom movie. Right. But we'll start with The Rock and we'll throw in a scene with the BFG to get fans excited.
Yeah, it's just a cash grab. Some people though, like I have a couple friends who don't really care about movies in the way that I do, at least. And they'll watch like all of the Fast and the Furious. They'll watch every Jason Statham movie. Like they love those type of movies where it's just having fun, action, shit blowing up, hot chicks. That's it.
What was the movie that came out?
I guess that's why they sell so well.
It was a movie that was filmed entirely in first person. It was like an action movie, but it was all first person. So I was like, oh, so you made a video game, but decided to not release it as a video game.
It sounds fucking terrible.
It was bad. No, it was bad.
That sounds terrible. That would make me nauseous.
But that's the thing, is like I was in the movie theaters to see Spider-Man, and they had a trailer for the new Jason Statham Rock, based on, was it Hobbs and Shaw?
Yep, Hobbs.
I'm like, yeah, I want to see that. Why? Because it's stupid.
Yeah.
I'm not going there to have my mind, like I'm just going there for a dumb good time and unrealistic action.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I don't really go to the movies, and
oh no, I'll wait till Netflix or I'll wait till.
How often do you? I mean, you go to the movies pretty often, at least in my view, because I never go to the movies.
When does Marvel make movies? That's when I go to the movies.
Yeah, I haven't been to the movies in probably over a year or two, maybe 2 years.
I will argue that if it wasn't
maybe
for the
three,
Marvel,
I haven't been to the movies in over 2.5 years.
I will argue that if it wasn't for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you would have seen a lot of movie theaters close and a lot of people out of jobs.
Yeah.
I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe alone has saved a lot of theaters. Just people aren't going to the movies like they used to, but Marvel movies people will go see in theaters. Because right now, nerds kind of have the power and the money. They're not going to the movies to see 3 billboards. They're not. Yeah. Then even though that's probably a really great movie, it won an Academy Award.
No, you don't go to the movies to see those type of movies anymore.
Those types of movies, I'll wait till they're on Netflix or wait until they're on home, like box office. I can watch them in the comfort of my own home.
And that's the thing too. I don't really like superhero movies. I don't find them very interesting, and I just don't. It sucks, man. I've already conceded to the fact that the movie theater is dead. I have a much better home theater, you know what I mean, than any movie theater ever.
I still think, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think a lot of it is the theaters also realized that where they had to update their seating, use like most theaters I go to.
Bambi Thump says the Russian Ark was the first was all first person with no film cut. I've never heard of that.
Never heard of it. I think this one was like Action Hank or some shit. I don't remember what the name of it was.
Oh, I do remember this movie. I've heard about this movie. It has that really long.
Hardcore Henry. That was the name of this movie that I was thinking of, and it's
that sounds like a fucking porno.
It was a Russian American science fiction action film. Yeah.
Hardcore Henry. Am I gonna? If I Google this, will we get kicked off Twitch?
Surprisingly, it has a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dude, this looks absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it's all in first person.
Hold on. Let's watch a quick... All right, we won't watch the trailer. I'm just going to play some stills from it. Yeah, it's all first person.
Like, just make the video game at that point.
I mean, it would make me nauseous. I mean, it could be cool, but if it's meant to emulate a first-person shooter, again, we already have first-person shooters that are amazing. You don't.
And that's the thing is, I feel like first-person is a cool concept in a movie scene, where if you wanted to really like go, oh, this scene needs to have an impact of feel like immersion, then maybe doing it in first-person for that scene would be cool. I think of like the Kingsman, the first Kingsman film, with that whole church scene where it's all one shot for the most part. There's a few cuts, but for the most part, it's one just long shot.
Where he folds that dude in half by throwing his head into the fucking pew.
Yeah,
and he crumbles in half.
That scene is one of the greatest action scenes like ever made.
It's so good, dude.
Like that had like imagine like if you wanted to do the first person effect for your film, do it something like that. In that kind of style, but don't make a movie revolved around the concept or the gimmick of first person. It's not a good idea.
Yeah, there was actually another movie that I watched that was in first person. It was a French movie, and there's a rape scene in it, and it's pretty powerful. And that's part of the movie. You know what I mean? Like it leads up to this rape scene, and it's like an integral part of the movie. And that first person view really helps really helps get that emotion across in that scene. But but it's not like the movie is based around first person. It's that the first person helped the movie in that sense, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you want, I mean, then again, I mean, French film, so
I don't remember the name of it.
I think it can be used to great effect in certain scenarios, but as an action thing, and like the gimmick of your film, not a great idea. I know there was one, I can't remember the name of the movie. It was like some really weird trip movie, like some like psychedelic movie, but the whole thing was filmed like as if you were watching this whole building from above, where like you almost could see into every room that was happening. And it was I think it was a French film too, and it was really weird and interesting. But I mean, just in general, the movie theaters these days, like you've seen why they've made theaters with like bars, or the theater now has like a decent dining option with it, or seats that you can pick that have like chairs that fold out almost like a big lazy boys. It's because they had to make concessions to bring into the theaters. They had to make the movie going experience something that wasn't just, all right, here you go, here's your ticket, find your seat, sit in an uncomfortable seat surrounded by a bunch of people you don't want to be near. Now you can go, okay, well, I want this seat in this specific spot. You have to they had to tailor the experience to the individual.
Yeah, that's how it should have been from the start.
Prices are still extravagantly expensive, especially at concessions.
Well, they have to because no one's going.
Exactly.
They have to. And I don't mind that so much. It's not really the pricing. It's that the experience, like you said, is much better in my living room than in any theater ever. Always. It always is. And it's been that way for the past 10 years, you know? But it wasn't always that way. You didn't always have, every living room didn't have 5.1 surround sound with a 4K OLED TV panel. And it's just, how do you compete with that?
Going to movies used to be like,
And now you have VR where you can go to a movie and sit in your house with your friends. It's insane. And it feels like fucking you're watching a movie in the movie theater. It's crazy.
It's no longer the pop culture thing that it used to be, where like going to the movies on Friday nights with your friends was like an every Friday night thing. Like that was the plan, the big release of the week. Even if you were just going to the movies to see whatever was playing because it was the movies. Yeah. That doesn't exist anymore.
And like some directors have been talking about it, like Quentin Tarantino, he's like, I follow that guy and everything he does. And he's very upset with the way that the cinema has gone because he makes his films for a gigantic movie-going experience.
I mean, Spielberg, I think was
Spielberg's another one.
That was trying to get the Academy Awards to not include Netflix films. Like, it had to be films that had a major wide release or something like that in theaters.
And I can see the merit in that. I can see the merit in that because
I mean, don't get me wrong. Bright wasn't a good movie, but when you got Netflix going, hey, we got Will Smith in a movie that's specifically only on Netflix, you have to kind of go, well, maybe this is serious.
Yeah. And now look
Not
how big it
movie,
is.
But
now Apple literally spent $50 million on each episode in that new Jason Momoa series that they're releasing. And
they got what's his name? Rob McElhenney to do a series for them. Yeah. And I like Rob McElhenney and I like It's Always Sunny. I'm probably gonna find a way to watch it without paying for Apple, but
right.
I mean, you have like even television is.
But you'll pay for it when it's worth it. You will make that payment. You know what I mean?
The thing that sucks though is like when your basic cable providers like CBS, Fox,
they all have streaming services.
They all have streaming services now. Like cutting the cord used to be you cut the cord to save money and you got like this stuff. But Netflix lost all of their content. Like they're not their first, like all of their non-first party content essentially. Disney's like, oh well, we have our service. We're taking all our shit back. Hulu, you've got Amazon.
I think this is a good debate because I don't think it's that bad. I always want an a la carte TV. I watch this show, and this show, and that's all I want to pay for. But we're never going to get that because
you're never going to be able to pay for shows.
Right. Yeah. It's just because the studios have to make money. These projects cost so much money. There's so many people working on them. They have to make money. So I like the fact that now you're not locked into a 2-year fucking payment with Comcast and you have to buy a phone and a cell phone package, and if you have all these fees and you have all these different surveillance options on you. Now it's like, all right, I want to watch the new Twilight Zone. I'll pay for the $3 a month for the CBS package for this month, and then that's it. I'm done with it.
You gotta binge it.
Yeah, and then you're done with it, and then you move on to the next one. And I don't mind it that. I think it's still way better than what we had previously.
The HBO is they're doing their own streaming thing that isn't HBO Go.
No, it's called HBO Max.
Is that included with your HBO account, or is that a totally separate charge?
I'm not exactly sure. Here, introducing.
I couldn't find out either. I was Googling it. And
I'm imagining it's a separate thing. Introducing HBO Max, a new streaming service from Warner Media. New direct-to-consumer streaming service arriving spring 2020 will serve as a new home of HBO and Warner Media programming. From families to young children, adults all age, HBO Max will offer something for everyone, featuring 10,000 hours of premium content from HBO, Warner Brothers, New Line, DC, CNN, TNT, TBS, True TV, The CW, Turner Classics, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, Crunchyroll, Rooster Teeth, Looney Tunes, and more. Yeah, so you're getting all of HBO and all of Warner Brothers. So this is going to be their new.
Isn't Warner Brothers Hulu?
I don't believe
so. Hulu NBC.
I think Hulu. I don't believe so. I'm not sure.
Because I know that the Animaniacs is coming back to Hulu, like the new seasons that they're producing.
Oh, Hulu's owned by Disney.
Oh, Hulu's owned by. See, that's the thing. I can't keep track anymore because Disney owns everything.
Yeah. Well, Disney's going to be releasing their service, and then I don't expect Hulu to be around much longer.
Okay.
But no, this seems like it's replacing HBO's streaming service now. So you're really just getting extra. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Now, I don't think so. I think HBO Go will still be HBO Go just for HBO. And then if you want also the Warner Brothers stuff, then you can get HBO Max, which I think is cool. I mean, I rather have more choices than just here's your Comcast $300 a month package to get everything, or you pay $70 and you get basic cable. I fucking hated that so much. And now we do have it. Now we can basically say, I want to watch the Nick This is the same thing. I watched the Nick, the first 2 seasons of the Nick, or the only 2 seasons of the Nick. I only had to pay.
Oh, the Mick. I thought you were saying the Nick, and I'm like,
no,
what?
the Nick.
It's the Mick.
No, the Nick. The Nick.
The one.
Knick.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the one. There was 2 seasons of the Mick, which was Caitlin Olsen's show on Fox.
Oh, really? It was only 2 seasons of it?
Yeah, and they canceled that.
No, there's another show on Cinemax called The Nick, which is a fucking phenomenal show. Go check
That's
it
why
out.
I was confused. I'm like, 2 seasons? Yeah, that sounds like the Mick.
Yeah, it's super expensive.
Which was a good show, and they canceled it. But
yeah, and The Nick was a fucking amazing show. But I was like, hey, I'm gonna watch this. I'll spend the $10, get the whole 2 seasons, watch it, and when I was done, I canceled it. And you didn't have that option before. So I understand the frustration that you have to constantly keep buying these new streaming services, but you can easily just as cancel them. And that was the biggest thing for me. Is with Comcast, you get hit with a late charge. Sometimes you weren't able to cancel it. You just got it. It was this whole locked-in contract thing that was the worst.
I really don't watch much TV, and
or you could just always just pirate it.
I think the most on that too. I mean, college. But the most I used my TV for, I think, is sports. Really.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't even watch it on my TV.
But now you have to pay for it.
Well, since I'm on my computer all the time, I just go log in through my Xfinity and just watch the TV on my computer.
If you are a big sports fan, I have the ESPN Plus, their new streaming service, and it's actually not that bad. If you're considering it, I recommend you check it out if you watch a lot of sports.
I would never get the was it the NFL Direct or whatever it is, their streaming service. I've heard so many issues with them. Like, I've heard way too many people have problems.
I mean, I have the NFL Network, and it's
not the NFL Network. It's like if you want to watch all of the games.
Oh yeah.
Or you're an Adam Market fan.
Yeah, DirecTV thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've heard it's really bad.
The one I want to have a thing and I would pay money for is Fox Sports. Like all of the local Fox Sports. Like if I could get Fox Sports Detroit or whatever, even out of town, yeah, I'd do that. And the coolest thing about moving to Georgia is like, oh, I can buy the hockey package and actually get to watch it, because if I bought it here, I'd be completely blacked out.
The funny thing with like NFL Network is their big draw is having Thursday night games, which is not even full season now. It's half of the season, because the other half, I think it's on CBS for the first half. But regardless, if you have Amazon Prime, you go on to twitch.tv/Amazon Prime on Thursday nights. They play the Thursday night football game.
It's on Amazon, it's on Twitch, and like on the other.
But it's through Amazon.
Right.
On Twitch.
What I was gonna say too is, that might have been through because of Verizon. I was gonna say I used to be able to just watch it on the phone app for free anyway.
That's Verizon. Yeah. Verizon has a.
Yeah, I have a Sling
TV. They don't anymore. Like it's not as good as anymore. But like no, for a couple of years there, I just watched everything on my phone.
I remember seeing all the Verizon commercials for that like a while, like a couple years ago. So yeah.
I have Sling TV and I get pretty much all the sports. If you want to check that out. Oh yeah, I don't know about hockey. I don't watch hockey.
And I only care about like hockey's the one I care about the most. And like,
but I have like FS Sports and a bunch of those other weird ones.
Do you have SF Sports 1 or do you have your
FS Sports 1? Yeah.
Right. I don't want one. I want them to figure out a package of the local channels.
With Comcast and
NESCN. Philly, like I want, or Madison Square Garden network that's part of Fox Sports. Like I want that you can get the local channels.
I think I have some of them.
I have the NBC Sports My Team app on my phone, which is you just log in with your provider. So like log in my Comcast provider. If I'm at work, I can actually bring up the Phillies game if they're playing at 1:00 and watch it. If I'm at home but on my phone and I don't have a chance to like put the Flyers on, I can just put the Flyers on my phone. I do enjoy that. The unfortunate part is for the actual Comcast app on my phone, like the streaming app, I have to be in like on the Wi-Fi itself for certain.
Oh, you have to have the protected Wi-Fi, yeah.
No, because of sports. But like if I wanted to watch on demand, like when on Mondays I don't watch on Sundays live for Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. I'll watch it at work just by bringing up my on demand on my phone on my company's Wi-Fi. Which is nice. I like being able to do that.
It's also what all of the sports companies' blackout policies are that like depend on if you can move away from it or not. which is dumb.
Yeah, unfortunately, being a football fan that's out of state, like I'm a Titans fan that lives in Jersey, I have to essentially. I thank God that the Reddit for NFL streams got a big overhaul and a change in ownership a couple years ago.
That's the nice thing about being a Dallas fan. They always play Dallas games everywhere.
Well, yeah, you're one of those weirdos. But no, what
Cowboys fan in Philly. God damn it.
That works better for at least in the hockey market, because like if you live, say you don't want to have cable, but you like, oh, I want to watch hockey, I can buy the NHL Network package. But if I live in the state of Michigan, those Red Wings games are blacked out for me. But I can watch everything else.
Yeah, which is
annoying.
And that's one of the things I don't like about those. But that's
right. But if you're
blackout policies
living in Jersey, you get to watch everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm like, oh, well, if I'm moving to Georgia, maybe I could buy that this time.
Thank God for last year when the Titans actually had a few primetime games. And then they got flexed into that last one. That was unfortunate.
All right. Moving into tech. We don't have to talk about Brave browser. I've been using a new browser, the Brave browser. Who was the guy who created this one? He's from Mozilla.
Sort of. Yes, he co-founded Mozilla, but he was the CEO for 11 days and forced to resign. And he is the inventor of JavaScript.
Yeah. Is he the inventor, or is that what you're saying? He's not?
No, he's the legit inventor. He invented JavaScript.
Oh, you said that in a weird way, like he wasn't the inventor.
No, he is. It's just like there's other languages I would prefer to be known as inventing.
Now it's basically just Chrome. It's a Chrome browser with a little extra privacy added on, like privacy controls. And the main controversy around it is the rewards program.
It's that, and it's the marketing. For my side, from my community side of like the weird Linux nerds and stuff like that, they don't like the marketing because like it's one of those. It is more private than if you just opened Firefox or Chrome, but if you bothered checking 5 like boxes on Firefox, it's nowhere close to as private as Firefox.
Right.
But if you don't check those boxes, it's good.
Right. Yeah, it's essentially just a Chromium browser, a little extra privacy added to it, and there's this rewards program where you can instead you block all the ads that any website serves you, and then Brave it themselves serves you their own ads. And with that, you get these things called attention tokens, and it's a cryptocurrency, basic attention tokens. And they pay you 70% of the ad revenue that from all the attention that you give them. And I think that is a fucking phenomenal idea. Now, is it implemented in Brave in the best way? I don't think so, because I haven't really noticed it much. I turned it on just recently just to see how it is. I don't really notice it. I can't imagine that I'm going to be getting paid much money. But I do think that attention, like monetizing attention and ad space, is going to be huge.
I think that's an interesting concept, yes. I just don't think... No, doing it around a crypto coin is not the way you're going to make that actually be realistic, to be honest.
Well, the idea in the cryptocurrency is just because it is a more private way of doing it. And it just gives it more of a value. So if more people have it, the more valuable your ad viewing becomes.
Yeah, sure, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in crypto. Sorry.
Yeah. So I do. I'm on the opposite end. I'm a huge crypto guy. And that's where I found a lot of the crypto people use the Brave browser.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, it just comes as like, blockchain's way overblown for what blockchain is, dude. It's a ledger. It's a great ledger. It's a ledger. And people make it out to be way more than what it is.
Yeah, it's just another way of monetizing.
No, it's a ledger.
No, I'm talking about the browser.
Okay.
It's just another way of monetizing a different sort of revenue stream without compromising privacy. Because the big thing with Chrome that I don't like is that it's a big privacy issue. It's a big privacy issue.
So you're using a browser that's based off of Chrome.
Yeah, basically. But you can just turn all the fucking tracking and stuff off. Now, I'm probably going to switch to Safari. That's probably Once I get the new Catalina, that's probably going to be the browser of choice that I choose. I like the way that Safari has been going. I want to use Firefox. It's just not as quick as Chromium right now. Nothing is as quick as Chromium. And I'm not sure why that is. Can you explain why that is?
No, it's because why I use Firefox. It's because welcome to the world of JavaScript, which is why I keep harking back to thinking it's funny that he invented JavaScript. Since Edge quit, basically
Edge is gonna be Chrome 2 now, right?
Right. So for a JavaScript compiler, you have Google V8, you have Firefox, and you have Safari. Everyone uses Firefox. Everyone thinks optimized, or uses Google Chrome V8. Excuse me. Everything's optimized for that. It's gonna run faster on that. Is that a good thing?
Why would it be a bad thing? What I don't understand is how come Firefox isn't able to just compile JavaScript in the same way that Chrome does? Is that just because it's a different sort of privacy concern?
To an extent, but then it's
or is it just because that's just not how it's built at all? They just use a different compiler altogether, and that's just how they built it.
Right? They have their own compiler. Edge used to have its own compiler that they wrote. Safari WebGL, like, it has its own compiler. So if everything's going to Google compiler, well, that's putting all of your faith, the entire faith of the entire internet ecosystem, basically, of all web pages into Google's hands.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a good idea?
No, absolutely not. No. And this is the problem with Chrome, man. And this is why I'm trying to find a browser that kind of meets me halfway. And I think Safari is going to be there. The Safari right now in its High Sierra state, not the biggest fan of, because it's just not as quick. But supposedly they're making good updates on it in this next one.
I don't have as much of those quickness concerns. I think Firefox is quick enough for me personally, but that's a subjective opinion. For me, and that's also not the diss V8. Like, the V8 engines, it's fucking good. Like, Google's done a really good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Chrome, but it's one of those things where it's why I bought an AMD chip 2 years ago, because I don't just want everything to be Intel. I want competition and all of those things, basically.
Yeah.
But I got to give them props, because, like, they do it well. That's the other thing. Like, every Node app is V8. Node is basically a V8 compiler. Like, there's so much stuff behind that you could go into that. But it's an interesting idea. I don't think it'll catch on. I don't think it's really that private. But
no, it's nothing. It's still just like every other web browser, sort of. You know what I mean? It's still kind of almost there. It's just, I like it because it's still Chrome at its core. It's still as quick as Chrome. It still has its downsides of Chrome, like its resources issues and stuff like that. And it's been an interesting. I was happy with it I was a lot happy with it. I was more happy with it than I thought I'd be.
That's good.
But like the reward stuff, it's all kind of a gimmick right now. It is something that I think is going to be very popular because other companies are looking at it. It's one of the reasons why Libra, Facebook, and Libra. That's why they want to release a cryptocurrency. They want to monetize attention. That's how you really get consumers on board. You say, look, we'll kick back whatever you want us to kick back. We're going to make a fucking killing off of it, but you'll make some too. We just want some of your attention.
I agree with that. I think there is a valid place to go with that. I guess at the end of the day, I would much rather be paid with a US dollar.
Yes, but you are a US citizen. That's kind of the issue, you know.
Right.
At least with a cryptocurrency, someone just opens up a fucking wallet anywhere. It's part of the issue,
but that's also the downside of it, because then if I'm in Zimbabwe, who says I have a bank that's going to convert that?
Yeah. Well, let's hope that Facebook's Libra
they're gonna
goes
convert
through.
they're gonna convert a US dollar
or Libra.
Hopefully.
So that's something we also have to talk about.
We talked about that.
No, David Marcus talked in front of Senate today. I watched the whole fucking thing. So he was in front of Facebook's crypto chief, David Marcus, was in front of the Senate, and they were grilling him on all these questions. The biggest question, and this is the one that everyone has, and I agree with it.
I will. Okay, for beforehand, crypto as in security or crypto as in money?
What do you mean in terms of
Are we talking about like crypto as in like security, or are we talking about their crypto coin?
No, their cryptocurrency.
Okay.
Their cryptocurrency.
Disclose that, because that's also, the cryptocurrency is a dumb fucking name.
Yeah. So this is the biggest question that everyone was essentially wanted to know: why should Facebook, of all companies, be the one to be leading the charge in the U.S. on the U.S.'s soil in the cryptocurrency realm? Why Facebook? Well, they had all these privacy issues. They have all these data issues. The whole thing with Myanmar. This was the biggest concern that people had. And they didn't really have, the only explanation that he had was that this is the realm that the world is moving in, and we have to lead now. We're already behind. We have to lead cryptocurrency now, and we're already there. We already have the consortium, the Libra consortium put together. Everyone's on board. So just give us the okay, and we're gonna start running with it. And there was a lot of apprehension there, and it's a huge, huge concern, and I completely understand it. Why should Facebook, of all companies, take the lead on essentially a global currency? You know, and I don't know if they're ever going to be able to shake the answer. The problem that I think that the senators don't understand is that this is a global currency. This is not just a U.S.-based currency, and they're going to do it anyway. You know what I mean? It's
True.
they're still going to do it.
But I think they have those valid concerns too, and they're trying to understand it, because at the end of the day, like, it's a fucking meaningless thing until you translate it into a normal currency.
Well, that's the thing. It's the whole idea of it is that the store value is in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the king. That's always going to be the king. It's number one. The Libra currency will be backed by a whole bunch of set of assets. So it's not just the US dollar. It'll be pegged to the US dollar, or whatever dollar is winning, essentially, which is going to be the US dollar. But it's not going to be backed by the US dollar. It's going to be backed by assets that they gather from all sorts of different countries, different cryptocurrencies, different nation currencies. So it could really lead in that area. It could really become the new US dollar, depending on how powerful it becomes. And in my opinion, I think it's going to be quite a long time before we see any sort of headway in that area. And there's going to be a lot of people who own armies that want to keep the US dollar as the global currency. So that's a consequence I don't think they're ready to take on yet. I don't think they realize if you go after the US dollar, you're literally asking for a bullseye on your back. You're going to be getting into war, essentially. You know?
That's true. That's a valid concern. I think for me, I still don't. I get it to an extent, but I still think it's a pipe dream, if that makes sense, to like actually replace every other currency, because it's one of those things where it's like, look at Ripple. Ripple's doing fantastic, but when you trade Ripple as like, because the whole point of Ripple, is to be able to convert currency. They just take it to a bank and just actually trade real money. They don't do anything with the coin. Right, and
that's the big thing right now. I mean, even with Bitcoin, the reason I think that a lot of people downplay cryptocurrency, they don't understand it in the way that the fact that someone right now is willing to pay, $12,000 for one Bitcoin, whatever the price is now, is just a testament to how far it's come. And it's just because people are using it. They're using it as a store of value, Bitcoin in particular. And then there's a bunch of other coins right now that kind of have some sort of value in the blockchain sphere. But I think this is what's really needed. There needs to be a stable coin that has a consortium of companies and nations basically ready to go with it to kick off the whole thing. Because once this goes through, they're given the okay by Senate and Congress, they say, oh, whatever, have fun with your global currency, which I don't think is going to ever happen. I think that's when all this institutional money is going to start to flood into the area. You're going to see big Chinese money come in, big Russian money come in, because it's all blockchain. It's so ripe for all sorts of really shady things, and that's right now why a lot of these nation currencies aren't they're tracked too well. You know, they're tracked too well. It's too easy to find where the money goes. So it's a really interesting concern.
There's also the counterpoint to that, though, is that's also can be seen as a good thing.
Yes.
Like, I want to know where my money is.
Right.
I want to have control. I want to have a bank protecting my money and my assets.
Right. And that was a lot of the senators' questions as well. They were like, okay, say someone in Arizona, they get ripped off by someone someone in Zimbabwe who owns a wallet that's addressed in Swiss, who's taking cryptocurrencies from China. Where do I go to bring my concerns to? And
no,
David Marcus was like, that's a great question, and that's something that needs to be figured out. The short answer is you're fucked, really.
Yeah,
There's no way. There's just no way to go through that. It's just impossible.
Like that's and that goes back to my thing of like why I think the blockchain is kind of overblown, where it's just like, yes, it's a ledger. Like, I can steal your money. You can see a transaction was made. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, cool. You can tell I made a transaction. That grats, dude. There's no repercussions for me.
No. And then this is Facebook's their big counterpoint is that they're basically, look, we're here, we're in front of you now. That means we want to be in regulation with the government. There's a lot of companies that are going to be leading this charge who don't want anything to do with your government. And when they take over and they lead that charge, then you have no recourse to go after them. There's no way that you can try to regulate them. We're here now trying for you. We're trying to work together, and you're basically, you know what I mean? Like it's an interesting thing.
That is interesting, because I think that's.
And no one has a 2.8 billion user base like Facebook, so this is a really interesting company to take the helm on.
Well, that too, but they are willing. That is interesting, because I think if that was regulated in the U.S., it's regulated in the EU. It's regulated like everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the only way a crypto coin's gonna actually take off.
Right.
Blockchain in general is gonna take off, because at the end, blockchain's a ledger.
Yeah. They essentially need a Libra for cryptocurrency to really come through. Now there's Tether right now. Tether and there's DAI. I'm a big fan of DAI. These are two stable coins. Tether is very, very shady. They're doing very shady shit. There's a lot of manipulation going on exchanges. There's a hearing coming up next week on Monday that'll basically tell the fate of Tether as well as the fate of Bitcoin itself. It's going to definitely hurt Bitcoin. I don't think it'll kill it. But we're going to see what the New York Attorney General says about Tether and essentially how they've been acting. If Tether gets taken out, that just leaves DAI and then Libra as the only stable coins in the game, as well as Coinbase's USDC. So it's going to be really interesting. I think Facebook and the Libra Association, or whatever they're called, they're going to go for it anyway, because 90% of those companies aren't even of the US. One of them can take the lead on it. They all want Facebook's user base. They want to be able to use Facebook's reach to get out there, and just the way they did it with WeChat. I mean, they dominate the fucking world with WeChat, and they want to do it with your fucking paychecks now. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know how I feel about it one way or the other. I don't know if Facebook's the best company to be taking the lead.
Not.
You know what I mean? Just because I don't really have faith in Mark Zuckerberg.
I don't have faith in them as a company. I'm willing to say that. But I will give the caveat, if you want to actually make that work, they're the only company other than like Google or Apple. Actually, even them. I think Facebook, honestly, the only company I think is like maybe Google. But those two companies, they're the ones who have the clout or like worldwide user base, basically, that also work with that amount of companies that could make that happen.
Yeah. Though I know they were more concerned, at least David Marcus was. He was talking about competition a lot, and he seems very concerned with PayPal. He thinks Peter Thiel is going to go in this route. He's also very concerned with Gemini and the Winklevoss brothers, as well as Coinbase, which is that's who I use. I'm a big fan of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, and he seems to be thinking that they're going to be the ones that are going to take the helm if Facebook doesn't. So it's going to be really interesting, and I believe Coinbase is part of the Libra Association. Okay. I am curious to see what transpires once they really start making way on it, because essentially, like I said, you start going after the U.S. dollar in terms of the marketplace. You're asking to start a war, and Facebook already has a lot of power. They have a lot of data. It's gonna be a really weird sort of warfare. It's gonna be some sort of like fight that we haven't really seen before, and yeah, man, we might have Skynet in the making essentially, which would be really interesting. Now, altogether, all in all, it's just good for Bitcoin, and I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. And we already know that Trump is not a big fan of Bitcoin. Did you see his tweets about it?
Yeah. No, I thought it was hilarious. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't care about Bitcoin. Yeah. Like, I've made some money off of it. I'm good. But like, as the technology, I have no faith in Bitcoin, dude.
Well, it's not really. It's like gold. You know, it's just an asset really that you just store.
Yeah,
value
made up. I mean, that is how assets are made. It's just people.
It's just like gold. It has no difference other than it's not actually a physical object. You know, it's all priced and speculated the same way.
The idea of currency works because people have faith in it. So if you have faith in it, I can believe it can work. But I don't care about a currency where it's going to take me 3 days to transfer it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that,
like, if I'm going to do that,
it's not a payment process. It's not like Visa. No. It's just
it's like a CD.
Yeah. It's like a stock. It's like a stock too. You know, you're just paying for an asset and hoping it's going up. No, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great asset, and I think that it could be certainly useful as a store of value. But I don't think
I think it'd be useful as a value. It's just one of those like.
I'm also not like a Bitcoin cultist. I don't think it's gonna completely change.
No, it's not. Sorry.
The dynamic of money.
You could use it as like a stock, not even a stock really. Gold, I think, is the best analogy. You could use it like that.
Yeah, it's just like gold.
But anything else, no.
No, it's just like gold. If you wanted to exchange it for cash, it's a lot faster than exchanging cash for gold. But I mean, it's still just a store of value. Now, I will change my thoughts on that. I will think that cryptocurrency will absolutely change finance in the global sector if Libra or another stable coin is able to make way. Because that's all that's needed. Institutional money needs to come in, and they need to say, okay, we need to make sure the value is not bouncing around. We want to make sure this is backed in the same way. And
if you wanted to take off worldwide like that, like, hate to use the big bad words, but it's got to be regulated. Like, no one's gonna. They're not going to use it as a currency if they don't have like a faith that it's protected.
Right.
Like, so that.
It needs to have a regulation. It needs to have regulation.
It'd be interesting. They could possibly pull it off, maybe, if they do have backing from like an SEC and the EU and you know everything like that. Like, then you could be talking. I agree.
Yeah. No, I think their biggest hurdle it will be they're not going to do it. They're not going to be like, yeah, we're going to allow you to have a global currency and regulate under all of our rules because you're challenging the US. I just can't see them doing that because I think that they do know like the power that Facebook had, that user base. So it's going to be super interesting. But again, like they were saying, if someone doesn't take the helm on it, some other company will. And then when that other company does, you have no more control on it. If it's like a Chinese company, if it's a Russian, an African company, they're all using crypto. Insane. I mean, it's the value has gone up over the last 2 years. Insane.
True, but I also don't think. Again, Weibo maybe. But if I'm being honest, like if it's not Google or Facebook, maybe Weibo, no one's got the clout to actually make that work.
Because or it'll be a nation. It'll be like China, the nation, will issue their own sort of cryptocurrency. Right. It's not really a decentralized cryptocurrency, but it will be cryptographically secure.
The coin, dude.
Yeah, yeah, and then that'll cause issues.
And that could happen. But like if you're talking like that's my own thing against like them being like, well, yeah, we got to be the helm. It's like, sorry, Coinbase is not going to be the helm. Like no one, no other companies to that size where they could be like, yes, we could institute this everywhere in the world. Facebook and Google are the only companies who could do that.
Yeah. And it's all predicated on the backing of data. I think it would be really. There was an article that someone wrote not too long ago about cryptocurrency being backed by oil, and that would be changing the dynamic of how it would be used, because that's essentially how the U.S. dollar has gained confidence everywhere. Is the petrodollar, and
to an extent, yeah. But that also that again doesn't sound like you're fixing the problem.
No. That's the complete opposite.
Yeah, it's like
that's a complete opposite.
We're gonna back our crypto coin on a finite resource.
No, that's a complete opposite. But that's kind of the challenges that they're gonna have to face soon, because it's advancing either way. Whether anyone likes it or not, it's oh, we lost him. It's advancing either way. So I think it'd be best if the U.S. does take the lead on it, or if not the U.S., the EU. I just don't want like China or Russia or some other company.
Yeah, I
don't
want them to be a Western power. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I'm also in a Western power, so that benefits me more.
Exactly. 13 Reasons Why has altered its suicide scene after controversy. Have you seen that show on Netflix?
No, but like I'm not surprised. Didn't that happen like 5 years ago when it came out in the first place?
No, they removed it and then they put it back and then they talked about it for a little bit and now they basically just completely altered it. It's a 3-minute long scene which is no longer available on Netflix. So I guess they just removed it again. Aired midway through season 1 finale. It's basically her. I watched the whole show. Me and Kate watched the whole show, and I personally don't think it glorifies suicide in any way, but it also doesn't demonize it.
Yeah,
it just makes it very relatable, and I can see how that could be an issue. But I don't think it glorifies. It just makes it very, very relatable, and I see that being an issue as well.
Yeah. No,
but then again, it's a piece of art. You kind of have to allow that. At least I think.
I agree if it's a work of art, and I'm all for uncomfortable works of art. But again, It's Netflix. It's a private company.
Yeah.
If it's causing a backlash like it sounds like it did.
Yeah, you don't want people killing themselves because of a show that's on your network.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting because the show itself, there was a lot of controversy of the controversy is basically, do they have to remove it? Should they leave it in? I don't know. I'm either way. I'm for either one. You leave it in, that's fine. You're making suicide seem like more of a real issue. But the show, again, it doesn't demonize it. It makes it super relatable. So if you wanted to remove it, I don't see that being a big issue either. All right, this is something that I thought was interesting. Zoom had a security flaw on the Mac.
They did. And this was relevant to us because we use Zoom.
We're on it right now. I fucking love Zoom. I don't love it because it's still Zoom. A piece of fucking shit.
No, I do not love Zoom.
But in a sea of shit, it's the fucking corn.
It's the best, yeah.
In a sea of shit, it's the corn. And
Zoom's the one who's finally made it to like bare minimum of being acceptable.
Yeah, it's still such a fucking piece of dog shit. I mean, you can see the quality; it's not bad, and we sound good on it.
We can actually make it better, I think, too. To be honest,
we'll
talk about it later.
But okay, so this essentially what happened was they were. I don't exactly know how to explain this. You might be better explaining it.
The way it works is it created a small web server to make a connection.
But why did it create this web server?
Well, because that's just a lot of places do that, especially small times places. Like it's a really easy thing to do. Is like, okay, especially if you're using something like WebRTC, you just make a little WebRTC server and connect to other people, and other people can connect to you. Because that's an easy way of doing what Zoom does, which a lot of it is peer-to-peer. It's not hosted on a server.
Right.
So what they do is they make a little mini server on one of your computers, and then those talk to each other. I guess that would be the easier way to say it than getting into like WebRTC and all of those kinds of standards. But yeah, basically it made a little web server, and it never closed the web server, and it was just a black hole into your computer.
Yeah, and then essentially there's researcher Jonathan Loitschik, he was able to disclose it, and they were able to demo it, and people were logging into like this sort of what did they call it? This concept link, and they were like, "Holy shit! I could turn your fucking camera on and peer into your fucking room." Because that's what it's for. It's a conferencing app, so you were able to kind of turn your camera on. And what Mac doesn't want you to do that. They don't want you to allow. I guess they don't want you to allow to install web servers on your computer unless it's explicitly stated. which it's not. So then they removed it. They put out a patch, a silent patch, to remove the web server, and then they just put out another patch again to remove other web servers that were installed from Zoom partners, which were companies from RingCentral and Zumu. So I thought this was interesting because
hey dude, there's your closed wall ecosystem.
Yeah, that's kind of a good thing that you would want to be any person that's installing Zoom. You don't really know what's going on, and if they were able to figure that out, if you didn't have Zoom on your computer, you wouldn't be able to uninstall it, correct?
I don't think so. The way they had it set up, it's really
it's just really stuck there,
kind of to an extent. But like, I don't know. It's weird to me because like I get why they did it. I kind of agree why they did it, but at the same time, I really strongly disagree with why they did it.
Yeah, because Zoom was kind of upset by the fact, correct?
I think so. I didn't follow it that closely. I'm just the way of their patching it. Like that's cool. Patch security flaws, please. But it's also seems like Zoom should have fixed their security flaw, not Apple.
Yeah, it seemed like Zoom was they essentially put out a statement. Ultimately, it's based on feedback of people that this is their statement regarding the fix. But they were essentially pretty nonchalant about it. They were basically like, it's really not that big of a deal. A lot of other apps do this, and we're not gonna patch it. And then Mac was like, whoop, plopped it right out. And then they popped the partners out. And then Zoom put out another patch. The July 9th patch of the Zoom app on Mac devices detailed earlier on our blog is now live. Details on various fixes contained in it are here, and if you go to it on their WordPress page, you can read all of you can basically read the entire thing and why they did it, why they removed it. So it's pretty interesting. Again, like you said, that's kind of the benefit of the closed wall ecosystem. But then again, you really don't want.
But that could also
you don't want
scary part of the closed wall.
Yeah, they can just kind of just plop out anything that you do on your own computer
that you own and bought. Yeah.
So I mean, they have a pretty good track record. I don't think they would ever maliciously do that, but
I don't either. It's just it is one of those
things
where
that's the thing.
Exactly. It's one of those things where you just kind of like, that's odd. Like it's conflicting because like, I'm never going to sit here and be like, bad you on fixing a security bug. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like the precedent of it, you're just kind of like, that's...
Oh, you can just uninstall things off my computer. Thank you.
Yeah, that's odd. I would like to have a little bit of freedom with the thing I purchased.
Yeah, maybe you wanted it on there. Maybe you wanted people to potentially break through that vulnerability and spy on you. Maybe you like that thing. I don't know.
Right, and that's the hard part. It's like, no, I don't think you do. I think fixing a security flaw is a good thing. That like they should do that. That's a good thing. It's just where it's a weird precedent of like I think they should have given Zoom notice. Hey Zoom, you fix this. Fix it now, or something like that, rather than like, oh, it's gone.
Yeah, and they didn't publicly patch it. It wasn't like, hey everyone, there's a big security flaw that we're patching. This was brought up by journalists. Mac happened to just remove it because they thought they saw the vulnerability there. So if you're someone who doesn't follow this kind of stuff, you would never know. It's interesting. All right, now on to the final topic. The A7R 4 has been released.
I need to go get some popcorn for this.
The greatest camera ever created.
For photographers.
61 megapixel sensor. A brand new unibody design. Oh, I guess it's not unibody. Brand new magnesium alloy design. New, nice, larger grip on it. All right, this is not a good... Let me go to this one. I need the specs, dog. Yeah, 61 megapixel image sensor, 15 stop enhanced dynamic range, 10 frames per second with continuous autofocus and auto exposure tracking, 567 phase detection autofocus points covering 74% of the frame, real-time AF for still, movie, human, animal, real-time tracking autofocus, 4K movie recording, S-Log 2 and 3 with HLG, multi-interface shoe with digital audio interface, 5.5 stop, 5-axis in-body image stabilization, 5.76 million dot UXGA OLED viewfinder, faster data transfer with USB-C and Wi-Fi, which is Wi-Fi 5 gigahertz, and upgraded grip holding and dust moisture resistant. 2 card slots, both have UHS 2 compatibility, which is good. There's now a big old joystick. Everything seems to be improved ergonomically. No flip out screen though. Pixel shift up to 240 fucking megapixels, and it's not really a video camera. It is.
No, it's not.
It is, but you can get a better video. You can get the same kind of video camera at a cheaper price. It's mainly
from Sony.
Yeah, from Sony. It's mainly a photography camera, like a studio. It's mainly a studio camera. The A7R III is mainly for professional photographers who shoot a lot in the studio or do big prints and stuff.
Too, watch sports. That autofocus. Holy shit! I gotta give them credit.
Yeah,
like the autofocus. Like if you are a photographer, this camera is actually fucking insane.
Yeah,
it's really impressive.
Yeah, it's a nice upgrade, but it's really sort of yawn in my opinion. It just doesn't do much different that the A7R III does, other than just bump everything up just a notch. Like it just bumps up the specs just a little bit. You get double you get what about 20 to 15% more resolution, same frames per second, less autofocus points because there's more megapixels, so less of the frame is covered by autofocus points. Nothing in terms of video has changed. Still 8-bit 4K 30 at its top spec, 8-bit 120
but that's
1080p
internal and external. There's no external 422 8-bit. No. There's no 10-bit.
No, none of the Sonys do that now. So we were hoping the A7S III would be released before this. That was not the case. Has the S series camera gone kaput? Is that
That's
new?
what I'm guessing. That's
what everyone's wondering.
Because why would you release a Mark IV before a Mark III?
Right. Well, it seems like what they did. It seems like they don't need the S anymore, because the S was never a video camera, mind you. It was a low light camera. That's how they marketed the S1 and the S2. It was a video camera. But mainly people use it as a video camera.
Right.
But then you had the R3 get released. That was like the photo side that had excellent video specs. But then the A7 III came out, and that was the better video camera to buy at the cheaper price point. So I think that has now taken over, because I don't think a lot of people are using cameras a lot in low light, because their low light already is great. They don't really need another S model when they just have the regular model to be both the low light as well as the video side, and just cut back on the resolution. So are we going to get an A7 IV and then not see an S3 or an S4? That's what I think it's going to be, because we've never heard any rumors from an S3.
We haven't, but we have heard that this is like the first of possibly up to 4 cameras being released soon, or announced soon.
That would be interesting.
Maybe.
That would be interesting. So what I'm thinking is an A7000, an A7, I guess would be an S4. I can't imagine them going back and doing an S3, and then an A7 IV. And then what else would there be? Maybe a new RX camera, RX 100 Mark 7, which is what they're on now.
With a microphone input, please.
Yeah. Now, if the A7S4 comes out, it has to have 4K 60. That's the new the new standard. It has to have 4K 60. It has to be able to do at least 10-bit output. I would like to see 12-bit, 422. But it has to do at least 10-bit out.
I'll put it this way. If Sigma can apparently figure out 12-bit out in video, come on, Sony.
Yeah.
Come on.
It has to be at least do that. It has to have IBIS. It has to have a flip out screen for me to consider it, I think. For me personally to consider it, that's tough.
Got the 6400. Come on, bro.
No, I don't want that stupid fucking camera.
No IBIS.
No.
the vlogging camera without IBIS.
Now, this camera is cool, but when you compare it to the R3, it's really doesn't. Who cares, you know?
No, I think it has a point because how much both of us, but especially you, have been like going off about how sick the new Fuji GX 100 is. Yeah. This is trying to encroach on that territory for photographers.
Yeah.
For photography, this is a cool camera, in my opinion. I just don't care about it.
It does great video too. It's gonna do amazing video, but at that price point,
the A7 III is gonna make better video, to be honest.
Yeah. No, it won't be better. It'll just be the same at a lower price. You know, they didn't upgrade the video really in any capacity other than it's just higher res, even though I think it's still 6K downsampled, 4K. I guess the best part about this in terms of video was that if you crop into APS-C, you're getting more resolution out of it, really. So, yeah, it sucks that we didn't get the video version. Everyone wants more video. You know, like Casey says, what are you fucking gonna take pictures of people? We want video, man. We have photos are good. We're good on photos. We were good. The A7R II, that camera was so fucking legit. The A7R III came out, blew everything out the water. You didn't need to put the 4 out. You didn't have to do it. You could have waited. You could have put the A7S4 out first. That would have gotten everyone excited. And then, you know, snuck in the R4 later. I hope they don't drop the S line. I think it's seeming like that.
I think it's seeming like that, and I agree. But
unless they can't figure it out,
or they just,
it seems to be a big problem.
Or what they're gonna do is they're gonna release the AS3, and it's still not gonna have a flippy screen, and we're still gonna rage.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen for sure. But it seems like 4K 60 10-bit internal has been very difficult for companies to do. No one has been able to crack that code. We've gotten close with output.
No, Panasonic, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, Panasonic's the only one. Do they have IBIS?
Yeah, that SH1. It's got IBIS, it's got 6K, it's got 4K 10-bit internal.
What doesn't it have? It doesn't have something that I remember we were talking about.
Autofocus.
Yeah, it doesn't have good autofocus. No,
that's basically everything else. It's just big and it's contrast autofocus.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as we know.
Yeah, but that's more of a photo camera too, which is weird. That's how they're marketing it.
No, the H1, I think they're marketing as that version of like the GH line. That's why it's an H. Like it's the Panasonic S full frame line, just the H version, which is usually their video, like the GH.
Let me see the specs on this real quick.
But I think they're the only ones who have come close. Everything else is APS-C or smaller, because internal at least. Almost everyone else can do 10-bit external easily.
Yeah, and Canon was able to do 4K 60 in the 1DX, but that is it's also cropped, and it's also an expensive camera. It's also motion JPEG. It's like this old, archaic fucking format that's just not worth it. I want to see here. Maybe I'm thinking of a different camera. I'm pretty sure the S1 didn't have stabilization.
The S1 doesn't. The S1H will.
Oh, that's what you're saying? Okay.
Yes. The new H model that's coming out is the video camera.
Oh, okay. I see.
Like the one that's going to do 6K video and stuff. That's their, like, it's like the GH line. That's their video version, like how we all wish Sony would keep an S line.
Yeah.
So like the normal Lumix Panasonic Lumix S doesn't, if I remember right. But they are going to be adding it to the S1H, I'm pretty sure.
Well, this is interesting here in this update here on newsshooter.com. The S1H, I also attempted to find out whether 4K 60p 10-bit 422 internal recording was using an APS-C crop, and I was told that it is yet to be determined. So okay. It might only be in APS-C mode, but it is yet to be determined. Oh, so it's also
That's
probably
very
safe to assume the codec is H.265. Yes, thank God. I'm a huge fan of 265.
That would be internal. I would guess you could still do full external if you wanted to do 10-bit.
Oh yeah, I'm sure because the other one was able to do that. All right. Overall, not too exciting at least for us out of this. Again, I still think the R3 or the R3 is still a camera that it's still fucking badass. You really don't need 61 megapixels unless you're fucking shooting billboards, or you're doing a lot of cropping for whatever reason. But yeah, we're just waiting for the A7S really, and we're waiting for Canon's at 90D if that's ever going to be released, and we're waiting for the SH1, and we're waiting for a full frame Fuji.
Nah, that's never gonna happen. Not for a while at least. But I would be interested in.
We're in a waiting period.
Yeah, I would be interested in a Fuji H2, because their H1 was their video camera version. That one actually had IBIS. They made an H2 with XT3 specs and a flippy screen. That thing would sell like hotcakes.
Yeah. These fucking companies need to understand that they need the flippy screens. Legit.
Yeah, dude, like that.
It's not difficult.
The camera would literally, it wouldn't be full frame, but if you could stomach APS-C, that if they did that, it would literally be flippy screen, IBIS, 10-bit internal, 420, 10-bit, 422 external. They could even probably fit both at all over 400 megabytes per second at 4K, 4K 60, 4K 30, 1080, 120 plus. Possibly you could push it to 1080, 180. It would literally have everything. It would just not be full frame.
Yeah.
Which honestly, for a video, Super 35 is okay.
Well, that's a standard.
Yeah.
It is the standard. But yeah, we're really just in a waiting period. I think it's gonna get interesting this year. I don't think we're gonna see much really innovative stuff until next year, but I think we'll see it this year. But we'll see. We'll see.
I just want to see Canon stop fucking up.
Stop releasing a camera with a fucking 3-year-old sensor in it.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to do that anyway.
And then removing 24 frames because the sensor
It's more the removing 24 frames from everything where it's like...
When the sensor obviously does it because it's in the A7R3 or the A7RX 103.
No, it's not even that. It's the so you can shoot 4K at 24, and you can shoot 60 at 1080, but you can't shoot 24 at 1080?
Yeah.
I just imagine.
No, I don't think you can shoot. I think
imagine X-Files themes behind.
No, I think it does 4K 30 and it doesn't do 4K 24 or 1080p 24 for that matter. They just removed 24 frames per second.
No, I could see them doing that because the SL3 they launched that was just 3060.
We're talking about the GS7 by the way, Mark III.
Oh, the GS7 Mark III. Yeah. No, that does 24 at 4K. I'm pretty sure. I think. I hope.
No, it does 30.
It's just 30.
Yeah, it does. They removed the 24 frames, which doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any.
But they'll also always
sense.
keep 25 and 100.
It's
keep 25, 51.
laughable. It's laughable. Yeah, I don't understand what the fuck they're thinking.
Or Canon, just make a new EOS R that doesn't crop as fucking extreme, has IBIS.
That's the rumor.
That would be a good camera, to be honest. If they could release a new version of the R, make the current R cheaper, release a new R, it just doesn't crop, or at least nearly as fucking horrifically as it does. Put in IBIS and make your 120 1080. Jesus fucking Christ.
That's the rumor.
You gotta win a camera.
We've been hearing rumors about that for about a month now. That's what they want to do.
In all fairness, it would be just an A7 III from Canon, but that's all you need.
Right.
You would sell hotcakes with that still.
They need a camera like that out. That was what the 5D Mark III was. It was like that camera that just did everything, and it did it really well. They need that camera out again. They haven't had that camera in a long time. I guess the 80D was the last one that did that, but that was mainly just like an APS-C video camera. It wasn't really the best photo camera. This would be like a really great hybrid camera that just does everything fine.
And I am interested in the 90D. Like,
Me too.
they have a chance because the 80D did do good. If you didn't crop as bad and you cut 24, you could make the 90D to be really compelling, even if it's APS-C.
Yeah, 90D would be legit.
And I kind of love it.
Yeah, and I see a lot of YouTubers now like using the EOS R. I saw a MKBHD video. He had one in his bag. And I'm telling you, the reason they're loving it is because it has a fucking flip out screen. Everyone has to take videos and photos of themselves nowadays, and it just makes it so much nicer to use. And if Sony were to do that, then I'd tell everyone, run out and go get every Sony, every fucking Panasonic, any Fuji. As long as it had that screen, it would just sell itself.
Well, I wouldn't with Panasonic because they already do that.
Oh, right.
But Sony, Canon, Fuji, yes, I will say that, because all of them have great autofocus.
Yeah. Well, let's see, man. We're in a waiting period. Hopefully we don't have to wait too much longer. I guess we're never going to ever get the perfect camera. No. They just won't let us have it.
One of those things where it's like, I don't even need the perfect camera. It's just like, we call it the perfect camera just because it's like, it doesn't seem like a hard thing
I know.
to come up with. Like,
I know. They miss it by this much every time. Every
company, every time. It's
just and it's not, and it's every company does it.
Yeah, it's the perfect camera is a meme because it's just like, no, this isn't even like actually a perfect camera. It's just like people's actual bare expectations, and it's never met.
They just leave like that one thing out. Oh man. Yeah, it's frustrating. I really wish I could get all of these companies into a room. All right, I gotta go. My dog's freaking out. All right, everyone. We'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.